Okay, so I woke up today thinking to myself, I might have been trying to do the wrong area. I was going north because I felt like those areas was, somewhat safer. But then my mind was telling me today, look, you have areas right next door to you that have no bus systems. These people, they either have to walk or Uber or Lyft. Why don't you go over there in that area instead of, going into areas that have bus systems? It's rainy, it's cold, and I'm like, yeah, it is rainy and it is cold, and maybe I do need to go in those areas. Now, my area, I do have a bus system, right? However, however, it's not the best bus system, right? So let's go see what it do. Let's go see if we can make some money. And if not, why not? Man, it was like I walked away for a hot second and it took me offline. Like, whoop, get you offline right now. Like, what the hell? What the hell? So, anyway, here we are. And Uber keeps trying to send me on trips. Damn, somebody, they're grabbing this shit. Whew. The taste of the Philippines. Let's go to Target in Mesquite. We're gonna go to Target in Mesquite. Yeah. Anyway, how are you on this beautiful Friday afternoon? Yes, I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, right? For the second time. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning and did my exercises. I was dragging. Yes, I was. I was dragging, but that's okay. Somebody said hello to me. Anyway, I was dragging and dang. I thought I found a window out here where there was no rain. But the rain has come. Rain has come. Rain has come. Yes, it did. It has come. So, it's as warm as it's going to get, probably. It's 63 degrees right now. It's probably as warm as it's going to get. Like I said, I did my morning exercise. I tried a different exercise today. What I tried today was head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? I'm like, that is, like an elementary exercise. However, it has you stretching from top to bottom. So I did that this morning, and I'm thinking to myself, I really probably need to incorporate this into my exercise routine. since I'm not doing the yoga I thought I would do, okay? I thought, once I get my regular routine exercises done, the walk and the lightweight, that I'd be able to move right on into the yoga exercises. Man, I don't know what is wrong with me, but whatever it is, it's resistant to doing the yoga. But I will say, my breath is getting stronger, right? Because I can measure how strong my breath is with the apparatus that I have gotten from the hospital when I was having, when I was having a hard time making it, okay? So, yes. I was tempted not to get out here in the rain. I was. I ain't getting out there in the rain. Then I thought about it, and I was like, you mean to tell me you can't get out in the rain for just a couple of hours and then come back home and sit down? Right? And I was like, I can. So, once I decided that I was going to layer my clothes today, because it's in the 60s, okay? However, this time of the year, for whatever reason, it just seems a little harder to wear dense clothes, okay? So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna layer my clothes. So I got on 2 layers of clothing, and then
in a quarter mile, turn right on Morningside Drive.
I got on 3 tops and my my vest. Okay? So I do have, an umbrella in the car. I have an umbrella in the car. And I got on my glove. My glove. Should be my gloves. There, gloves. Got on my gloves. Because it's a little chilly out here. So the Mustang SUV is interesting looking. It is interesting looking indeed. Mustang
Turn
is like,
right on Morningside Drive.
They was gonna get in the small SUV business. If that's the body shape of vehicles that people want, Mustang said they're not going to be left out of this, action. And I'm looking at a Mustang SUV right now. So anyway, yesterday I ended up having those pizza puffs. Yes, they didn't have my favorite, the bacon, so I had to have the pepperoni. Honestly, I like the bacon better than the pepperoni. And the couple of bites that I gave to Snoopy is really not enough to say that I didn't eat it all by myself.
In a quarter mile, turn right on Barnes Bridge Road.
I am going to mention I gave her a couple of bites. And they're only like little bite-sized pieces anyway. Listen to me making these excuses. But after a couple of hours, like most carbs will do to you, they will make
Turn
you
right
feel
on
like
Barnesbridge Road.
you hadn't ate a thing and you hungry again. So I went ahead and made me
Just ahead, proceed straight on Childress Avenue using the middle lane.
some coleslaw. Right? I made me some coleslaw. And
Proceed straight on Childress Avenue.
okay. That's exactly what I was thinking. Whee! I wonder if I could use those vacuums without getting the car wash. What would they do? What would they do? Would they tag my ass and tell me never come around here? So yeah, this is actually the area that I
In a
was
quarter
talking
mile,
about
turn left on West Emporium Circle.
that doesn't have a bus system. They do not have a bus system. So if you don't have transportation, if Uber didn't exist, oh my God, these people couldn't get nowhere unless they had a car. But the only reason why they did that is because they
Turn
didn't
left
want to
on
pay
West Emporium
taxes
Circle.
for a bus system. Now, they got some kind of community bus, I believe, like downtown, right, that operates only certain hours. Okay? But
In a quarter mile, turn left.
we can go shopping at Target. At Target? Yes, at Target. I haven't been to Target in a little bit. So every time I go to these stores that I have not been to, let's say since the pandemic. Okay?
Turn left, then turn left.
I always want to see, how they've changed. What have they done since the last time?
Turn left.
Since the last time I was here. Now, I do need to make sure that I'm not just picking up. There's a lot of people here, for sure. Let me make sure that I'm not just picking up somebody's order. Okay. Nope. I am not just picking up somebody's order.
Turn right.
So this dude wants a PlayStation. Hold on. I do like to see what my dog be doing when I'm not with her. So let's put her on the camera. Okay. Can you move, please? Okay. I had the weirdest conversation
Head to your pickup at Buffalo Wild Wings 3900 Pavilion Court.
with this dude, right? And this dude was talking about becoming a life coach, right? And yet, this dude took offense that I told him, you know, you'll be lucky to make it my age. He said, well, that sounds like a threat. I said, me? Me threatening you? I'm a senior citizen, right? So,
Turn right.
what he didn't see was his ego, okay? But I'm telling him, no, it's not a threat. It's hard to make it to this age, right? However, because he was so indignant about me telling him that he will be lucky to make it to my age, I couldn't tell him that most of my peer group is already dead. And that's the truth, right? When you're a senior citizen and you start thinking about references, and you're like, well, damn, you know, you lost contact with these people. A lot of these people, they're dead. Even if they're not dead literally, they are dead out of your environment.
In a quarter mile, turn right.
Okay? So, but he started getting excited, right? And I told him, I said, look, what you got to understand is we're going through one age and we're going into another age. And he was like, I think I see what you're talking about, right? Because he asked my opinion about, you know, the divorce rates when it comes to
Turn right.
America. Now, this man admitted that these men, you know, they barely making $40,000 a year. I mean, this is a guy working at Target, right? 32 years old working at Target. So I'm saying, look, we're moving out of one age and we're moving into another age.
Pickup.
And when we move, you know, there's a change that must happen in this, you know, in this change. And he was like, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Right? So then he goes on to say, well, you know, the divorce rate, you know, is so high. And I'm telling him, you know, hold on. So what tripped me out about this dude was he was getting hot-tempered, right? And we didn't even get into the details, right? Because what he didn't want to hear
Turn right.
about change was everything. He didn't want to hear nothing about change. He didn't want to see how change would actually be beneficial, right? Oh, well, you think, you know, you think that we're supposed to change, you know, and it's like, look, you guys have failed, right? Here you are, a broke Dusty, right? And you might say, oh, you're average. Average doesn't mean that you're wealthy, right?
Turn right on Northtown East Boulevard.
If you don't know finances, then you don't realize that
Turn right
you
on
can make
Northtown East Boulevard.
$32,000 a year and still be in poverty. Okay? It just depends on how many people are in that household. Okay? If you're making under 30,000 as a single person, then yeah, you're in poverty. Right? So he's talking about 40,000? Like, man, how do you want to claim that your system works? It's broken. It doesn't work. And if your system doesn't work, why do you insist on having it your way? It's not Burger King, right? Now, you can call yourself a Burger King if you want to, but, even at Burger King, you only get a crown if you buying a burger.
Turn right on Gus Thomason Road using the right lane.
But if you ain't buying no burger, they ain't gonna give you no crown, and then you ain't gonna get no burger either. So anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. So the guy was getting excited, right? And obviously he needed to hear what I had to tell him, because I was having a hard time paying with my card. A really hard time paying with my card. I'm standing there about 5 minutes
right on Gus Thomason Road.
trying to pay with my card, right? So he asked me, he says, first of all, here was his first rejection, right? He said, "Are you an introvert?" I said, "Yeah, I'm an introvert." I said, "But I'm really an omnivert." And he was like, "Whoa, what is that? Some new made up word?" I'm like, "No, what it means is you enjoy being by yourself. However, you don't have a problem being with and around other people when necessary. Like when you're in the field of sales. When you're in the field of sales, you cannot be an introvert. You have to be able to shape-shift out of that introversion and go into another mode, which makes you an omnivert. Means that you can
In a
shift.
quarter-mile, turn left on
You
I-30.
can shift out of that. But his first reaction was he didn't want to learn what a new word is. Okay? Which he should. You should. We should never stop learning. Period. Right? Once you stop learning, then you start dying. Period. That's why I'm a forever student. I'm a student of life.
Turn left on I-30.
So anyway, now his manager was telling him, man, you need to just drop this conversation. You need to just drop it, right?
Just ahead, keep left onto I-30 West using the left lane.
But he was tripping emotionally.
Keep
It was
left
like
onto
his
I-30
emotions
West.
was out of control. And I'm like, my emotions are not out of control. Oh no, not me. I'm happy. I'm cool. I'm breezy cool. Right? And it was like the more I showed him myself, the more he was throwing hate and shade upon me, and I felt it. And so anyway, I finally got my my payment to go through. And this was after he told his manager, well, she said I'll be lucky if I make it to her age. And he was like, man, that's a compliment. And I'm like, that's right. And so I gave this guy, Eric, you know, a pound.
In 2 miles, take right
and told him,
52B toward St. Francis Avenue.
I'm telling him, you know, because life is hard. You'll be lucky if you make it to my age. So, having that conversation with him told me a lot. Right? And what it told me was this was a man that was not doing well financially. He was not doing well financially. He did not like his job or the several jobs that he has to do. And, you know, asking me if he should become a life coach. He's not healed enough to become a life coach. Because if you have a preconceived notion that the only way that you're going to be successful is for you to be able to enslave a woman, then, you know, what are you going to do if, you know, your captee decides to rebel and free themselves from you? Okay? And with his attitude the way that it was, because, you know, he was pontificating for sure. He thought, you know, he had learned all of the lessons and therefore he becomes, you know, the teacher. And I'm like, you got a lot of lessons to learn.
Using the right lane.
So anyway, my payment went through. And I left there telling this man, I said, now, I just got to say one thing. You need to remember, you came from a woman. And I left. And he took that as me, you know, giving him a slight. But his manager said, there's nothing she said that was false, man. There was nothing that she said that was false.
Just ahead, turn right on Toledo Road.
So,
turn right on Toledo Road.
What this had told me was that these men are fighting for a system that's not working for them. And I'm telling them that it's not working for you. You are $40,000 a year man, you know, wanting to buy a slave that you can't take care of. You want your slave to take care of you. Okay? Believe me, it's going to just be a matter of time before your slave is going to realize that you are the weak one. And once they realize that you are the weak one, they'll outsmart you. And they will make you do things against your best interest. And obviously, you know, you're susceptible to doing things that are not within your best interest. Because number one, at 40,000, you do not have the money to take care of a slave.
In a quarter mile, turn left on John West Road.
You don't have the money to take care of a slave. A wife slave, a partner slave. $40,000. Two people off of $40,000. If you was to split it down the middle, that's $20,000 each. Right? And this is where you have to be honest with yourself. Well, no, you really want your slave to be out here making money. Right? And your slave is like, okay, You know, they're going to get out here and make money. Right? But they know when somebody just wants them for their pentacales. Okay? And once they get out there and start making money, there are going to be other men out there that might want to proposition them to be with them, because they can see that here's a woman out here going to go get it, you know. And you can even imagine where this man lives, right? Making only $40,000 a year. And I know
mile, turn left on Berkshire Drive.
People are like, how do you know? How do you know? Well, number one, what I do know is in order for you to rent a place, you have to bring in at a minimum of, 2-3 times your rent. That's a minimum. And if it's 4,
turn left on Berkshire Drive.
Then you have to make even more money. Okay? So for 8526.
Drop off. Drive, then turn right on Lakeland Drive.
But the thing about it was, the guy was too sensitive and emotional,
turn right
emotionally
on
out of control. So this is where he had a little bit of intelligence, but not enough intelligence to know how to remove his emotions from the words that,
In a quarter mile, proceed straight on John West Road using the middle lane.
the words that he's hearing, coming out of somebody else's mouth. Okay?
Proceed straight on John West Road.
Because they're ascribing to a simulation that's not their reality, right? You have to at least be making 6 figures, at least, to comfortably have 2 people live off of that income, right? And of course he's like, well, if I'm making 40,000 and she's making 40,000, and that's true. So you can make it, but what's not working
In a quarter mile, turn right on North Buckner Boulevard using the right lane.
in that system is the notion that they think that life is hard for them, that it wouldn't be hard for the woman, right? So the woman, she has to bring in the same or close to the same amount of money that he's bringing in.
Turn right on North
But
Buckner
women's
Boulevard.
priority is usually to caregive for the children. That's usually women's priority. And they prefer to do that. That's something that, I don't know, has been arranged in the ethers, that women are caregivers to the children, right? If we wasn't caregivers to the children, then we would be reptilians, and we would be able to just lay an egg and have the child grow up and fend for itself once it gets out of the egg. But no, we're mammals, and mammals are nurtured by the mother. See, that's the terminology that men leave out of the whole philosophical scenario of being animals. We're mammals. And they really have to look up, all of the different type of mammals that, exist on the earth. And then elevate that to the extent of what an evolved human being is supposed to be. Because we're evolving, and if we don't evolve, then there's a problem. Because, of course, if you don't evolve, then you're deteriorating. Period. I can't even imagine a man like that being a life coach. My God. He's taking offense. Can you imagine somebody trying to ask help from this guy, and he's more sensitive than the person who's actually, having issues and problems? That's insane to me. However, this guy, can do other things, right? If he wants to be a personality, you can still be an introvert, and you can still make money on the internet by showing people your hobbies, by showing people other activities, your creative activities. I don't know what he does. He says he's an introvert. Because, even an introvert that's a gamer, right? They can make videos helping people, how to win the next level of a game, right? Or how to get more points, or how to and they can do that. But a life coach, and you're not familiar with philosophy or theology, or the liberal stance in a way that you accept people for the life choices that they chose. You can't judge people for the life that they chose, period, and expect them to pay you to insult them.
Turn right on Chariot Drive.
I wouldn't pay nobody that was insulting or that couldn't tell me the best way, to channel my energy on the system that I had chose to pick. Right? If I'm an Islam,
just ahead, turn left on Wimbledon Way.
It doesn't make sense to
turn left on Wimbledon Way.
to preach to somebody about Christianity, a relationship about Christianity.
Turn left.
Right? Nor does it make sense
Turn left.
Yeah, that's it. Apartment 813. So anyway,
Gina R says, leave at door.
Nothing.
Apt number 813.
Nothing happens that wasn't supposed to happen. And this person definitely needed
Turn right, then turn right.
to to rethink his plans, right? To solidify, the fact that, he might need to
Turn right, then drop off.
learn a little bit more before, thinking that it's okay to counsel someone. 7, here's 7. So where's 8?
Drop off.
And I guess I was the person that needed to show him that. Me and his manager, of course, right? Because we had to tag team him. We had to tag team him. So for me, the lesson, in that encounter with this man that I didn't even know, was how this man was trying to bring down my emotions. I'm high vibing. I'm happy. And he even said that, wow, you out here happy? You're dealing with life. And I'm like, yeah, why not? And however, he, on the other hand, he tried to get studious, right? And I'm like, okay, you want to be studious, you want to pick my brain, don't ask me something and you ain't ready for the answer. Because once I start to tell it, usually I ain't gonna stop telling it until I say it. And that's exactly what happened. And he didn't like that. He tried to put the brakes on me when I started talking about omnivert. It's in the dictionary. It's not a made-up word. See, that showed me right there, not only did this guy have limited vocabulary, but he wasn't receptive enough to acknowledge his limitation, except to say, what is this? New words? I ain't with it. Right? So these are the type of people that if they don't make the shift, they're going to get trampled. Right? They're going to get trampled. Even if they decide that they're going to kill somebody, right? Even if they decide that they're going to kill somebody because they mad that this shift and this change is happening, they're going to end up in jail. Even if they don't get caught in their homicide, they're going to be in spiritual jail. Or worse, running around here with blood on their hands. Because they killed somebody because they didn't like the words that were coming out of that person's mouth, and they took offense to it. And I'm telling this man, look, you'll be lucky if you make it to my age. And he took it as a threat. And I'm like, how is that a threat? I'm a senior citizen telling you you'll be lucky to make it to my age. But he thought that he could confabulate the definition and make me succumb to his pontification in the way that he saw the definition, and he came across the wrong person. Because when I go into the dictionary and I see that the same word can be used as a verb, an adjective, a noun, it ain't just one way. And the interpretation can change based off of how a person is using words. And I'm like, this guy here, not only is he broke, but he's dumb. Right? And not only is he dumb, but he has a problem. He has arrested development. Right? And for him to sit up here and think that women are the problem, which is what I infer the whole conversation to come to, was the idea that
In a quarter-mile, turn right.
I think I'm gonna have to pay attention. Let's see. Quarter-mile, turn right. No, that's not it. Is it here? Bitch! Get the fuck on. Pickles and pepper. Pickles and pepper. By Halls. What the hell? Pickles and peppers by Hall. So we want 2327 South Buckner.
Turn right, then pick up on the left.
2327. Ooh, there's a lot of traffic here. So here's a lot of people here on a Friday afternoon that is not in the office, for sure. $23.27. Oh, there it is. Damn it. So this person, this place here is like a little trailer. We're here though. Okay, I definitely would have missed this one if I hadn't have stopped and pulled in and to actually see what the address is. Because, oh my gosh, it's a trailer. It's a little, it's a food trailer. It's like a 6x8 food trailer, and it's called Pickle and Peppers. She had the order ready. And I guess they're doing business in front of Hall's Chicken Depot. Yeah.
Make a U-turn to stay on South Buckner Boulevard.
Yeah. So, learning a lesson from me is probably the easiest lesson that you could probably learn, because I understand that change is hard, right? I've already told you, I am the queen of the fixed signs. Nah, I am the empress of the fixed signs. Okay? And change for me definitely feels painful. So I understood this guy, and for him to be able to, to meet me and try to teach me a lesson is difficult. Very difficult. So he had to ask me, he was like, okay, have you been married? I said, yeah, I've been married twice. And he was like, okay, can you give me an idea of, why your relationships broke up? And I told him, I said, because I gave out ultimatums. He didn't ask what kind of ultimatums. And he didn't want to know. He was like, oh, well, you were wrong, right? Giving out ultimatums. But in my book, no, I am not. I am not going to sleep with somebody that can cross-contaminate me. Right? Not all bacterias can cohabitate in harmony. Period. Even if you don't get an STD, like a sexually transmitted disease, or a sexually transmitted infection. Okay? But for me, my thought is either I'm the one or I'm not. If you need somebody else, then you need to go on and live your life. Go find what it is you're looking for. Okay? Because I ain't the one. And if you think that, you need to have the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4, and the 5, then you that's on your body. The diseases, the STIs, the emotional baggage that you get throughout all of these relationships that you claim you can handle. if they just do what you say. Right? And it's like, you can't do what you tell yourself, much less what you sit up here and expect people to do what you say. You can't tell yourself what to do. Because I know damn well you didn't tell yourself, self, we're going to grow up and we're going to live just above poverty. And we're going to live like a king. I know you didn't tell yourself that lie and believed it. Right? While watching everybody else go on vacations, while watching everybody else, grow and save for retirement and living in nice and safe neighborhoods. Because let's keep it real. When you get into these neighborhoods of lower income, the safety factor goes down. It goes down. And the drugs, the alcohol, the violence goes up in those areas. And a lot of people who are poor, they see those the violence, the drugs and the alcohol as their survival lifelines. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, they do. They see him as their survival lifelines. So I guess that man thought he was going to teach me something. And what he taught me was I got to be weary of people who don't know you, trying to bring your spirits down. Because I was happy. I'm like, I get to go shopping for somebody. Yay! And this man was like, yeah, you look happy. Let me see if I can bring you down. Like, man, you shouldn't do that to me. Not me. Because I'll make your day a bad day. I will give you a bad day trying to make my day bad. That's what Geminis do. We will mirror back your shit. And even if you try to go dark on us, don't make us have to pull the dark twin out. You don't want to even know and see the dark twin. You don't want to know him and you don't want to see him. No, don't.
In a quarter mile, keep right to stay on South Buckner Boulevard using the right lane.
I don't even like it when the dark twin gets released. It make me feel like I just released the Kraken, a destroyer. And it got me feeling bad after the destruction. And it was just like the light twin, the twin of the light. The twin of the light is sitting up there trying to tell him, hey, let's keep it light. Hey, life is a delight. And they trying to bring you down And you're like,
Just
no,
ahead,
no, no,
turn
no,
right on
no.
East RL Thornton Freeway.
We already know. We know that, we will not. We
Turn
will
right on
not
East
bring
RL
out the
Thornton
dark
Freeway.
twin unless absolutely necessary. However, because of that, once it comes out, we already know it was a necessary evil. It was a necessary evil for sure.
Keep left toward US Highway 80 East.
And
In
yeah,
1.1 mile, keep right toward Town East Boulevard.
those necessary evils, this is where my thought is, I would prefer that we all learn lessons using our sense of love and appreciation and gratitude. Right? Meaning that we look upon life with curiosity, we look upon life with curiosity.
In a half mile, keep right toward Town East Boulevard using the right lane.
We're grateful for the lessons that we learn every day. Even if we don't implement those lessons on the spot, we still learn it and we just put it in our arsenal. You see? But some people, they feel like, if I can't utilize it right now, I'm going to reject it. It's like, no, you put it in your arsenal. That's why you have all that brain matter up there for
Keep right
storage.
toward Town East Boulevard. In a quarter mile, make a slight right turn on Samuel Boulevard using the right lane. Make a slight right turn on Samuel Boulevard.
That's the one thing I learned as a child, right? I was a young child. I don't even remember how old.
Turn right on South Town East Boulevard.
But I was of an age, you know, I'll have to say somewhere in secondary school or primary school. Yeah, it was primary school. I was in primary school and, you know, I was telling myself, oh, this is too much. This is too much. And I think it was the teacher who told me that was like, no, it's not too much. You have a lot of brain matter
In a quarter mile,
just
turn right on Aloha
waiting
Drive.
to be encrypted with messages. You just have to learn Aloha Drive? You just have to learn how to
Turn right on Aloha Drive.
Aloha Drive. interesting enough, I left the car on. I might need to stop doing that. So since I'm at 35% on my battery, I am gonna call it quits for now and going back home and feel good that I made a little money today. Yeah. And it was more money that I was thinking about making because I really was saying, oh, it's raining out there. And I don't want to go out there in the rain. And I'm so glad that I came out, made some deliveries, made a little change, had a small debate. Yeah, it was a small debate because that guy, he was not a debater. He didn't know the rules of engagement. No, he didn't. And he had a low emotional quotient. Okay? What does that mean? That means that this person was not aware of his own emotions while judging the emotions of other people. Okay? That should be a sin, right? Actually, in a way, it is. Because what did Jesus say? You know, if he's such a Christian, Jesus says, you know, about the plank in your eye. You know, how you throwing sticks and stones at people, and you haven't cleared the plank out of your eyeballs. So anyway, that's something that guy should probably look up. You know, when you go around here, you know, throwing stones and sticks and stuff at people, then telling them that they threatened you. Oh, you got me twisted. I still couldn't get over the idea and the notion that this man said I was threatening him. Because I said you'll be lucky if you make it to my age. And I'll reiterate, the reason why I could honestly say such a thing is because a lot of my peer group has not made it. They're gone. Right? Some of them, they may not be dead, but they definitely are in their vessel. They're a vegetable. You're a vegetable. You're a vegetable. So yeah, we've been out here a little old, about 2 hours. this vape has lasted me, I think, like 3 weeks. Right. And so now it started raining. So just on time. Just on time. I stopped right on time. Starting, and this is where I'm ending. Close that door, Holy Spirit. Close that door. Definitely feeling a little hungry. I only had coffee today. Like I said, sometimes we have to shift things around so that it doesn't feel so monotonous. Since it's raining, we won't be going for a walk right now. No. I'm looking over there because I know these people did not go and get a car wash. But there are people over there that look like they're actually using the vacuum cleaner. And I was trying to see, do they pay to vacuum? What? Can I go and get a free vacuum there? Because it's raining. I know they're not going to go and get a car wash. And it's raining. I mean, they could. that guy was that, first of all, he didn't know me. Second of all, he thought he could control me. And third, he let his emotions get out of line. So you can only imagine, you know, that this person was probably not a very good salesman. And I never think people are a very good salesman if you think that people are supposed to like you just because you're there. And now people are aware that that's the emotional manipulation that a lot of people have done because they wasn't aware of exactly what is emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is like the sales tactics that gets used on people who are told, like me, therefore buy this product. Like me, therefore put your money in my pocket. That's emotional manipulation. Because it's based off of emotion. It's not really even a true service or a product. They may say that they're the product, but if you're not a prostitute, then what is it that they're supposed to be liking about you that's going to, get them to pay because of your presence? So once we clearly identify what emotional manipulation is, then a lot more people won't fall victim to being emotionally manipulated. Okay? It took a long time for people to even identify, how you can be psychologically manipulated, mentally manipulated, right? It took a minute for people to understand how they could physically manipulate you, through finances, right? Making it to where you can't go no further than the 10 blocks of your neighborhood. Y'all remember that movie 10 Blocks? I think that's what it was called, 10 Blocks. But how these people, were financially predisposed to live in a neighborhood of 10 blocks, and they cannot get outside of those 10 blocks, even when they try to get outside of those 10 blocks. And then we can see it on a much more, micro situation, where it's done on a micro basis, right? And this is where, a person is in the house, but they can't go anywhere because, they don't have a car, right? And maybe there is somebody in the house with a car, but they're like, you can't drop me off at work and leave me without a car. No. You know, and probably people couldn't understand, well, what the deal is. Aren't you going to be at work for 8 hours? You know, you don't trust me enough to come pick you up when it's time for you to get off? How about I show up, 45 minutes early and sit there and wait for you? You know, you really have to wonder, what goes through a person's mind, except for the fact that, they don't trust the person who has, who might be trying to borrow their vehicle to be there on time. Or in the process of them riding around, that they would get into an accident, whether it be their fault or somebody else's fault. Don't matter. Right? They stay pessimistic and cynical about, letting somebody use their vehicle. Okay? So yeah. We on the way back to the house. We're at 28% right now. It's raining, sprinkling here and there and here. No problem. Snoopy girl, she just like, she can't put her face out there because she knows it's raining. She know we ain't gonna go for a walk because she know it's raining. She heard her name and she like, huh? Tree there, it just dropped all of these. No, just dropped a whole bunch of stuff. A lot. It's so thick over there in that driveway, you can't even, it covered the whole driveway. I get the same thing from my pecan tree. So that was a positive way of thinking about what happened today. But the most negative way is that this person not only had arrested development, but he was also an empty vessel that had been taken over by an entity, and he was no longer in control of himself. So he doesn't even know why he attacked me. Right? He doesn't know what was compelling him, even though he wanted to stop the whole conversation, but he couldn't. Okay? And hopefully, that's not the case, even though it probably is the case. That this is a person who was an empty vessel and he had a demonic entity within him, and that seen my shine, and he felt like he had an opportunity to attack me, and I was only going to love them back.